about 3 or 4 weeks, the pot was just full up of money. Like a lot of money, like easily over, I don't know, let's say easily over maybe 100 something quid, yeah? So we were making a lot of errors, but most of the time it became so minute, we just things like okay and all this kind of stuff. And although we'd achieved the objective...
Another contract's coming up, is it?
Sorry?
Another contract.
No, then what we decided, and then basically I had 2 weeks left before I came back and I was completely broke. Yeah. So I said, look, if I play this game anymore, let's say if I participate in this contract anymore, I'm not going to get to the airport, yeah? So we got to look it up. But the brothers, mashallah, they're still continuing it.
They're still there, those brothers?
Yeah, there's a few brothers who are still there, they're still continuing it, but I'm not sure about the money situation, how much, whether it's money or something else. So that was one thing, and we were, to be honest with you, because although there were loads of non-Muslims there, to be honest with you, majority of them were not Muslims. There was maybe 5 of us, 6 of us Muslims. We used to just hang around with each other quite a lot, and especially social-wise, isn't it? Because there were lots of girls and all this kind of thing. So socially, we're going to hang around with brothers, isn't it? And we obviously became known as the guys who only speak. Not only do they only speak in Arabic, these are guys who only have to speak in classical Arabic. Yeah. And obviously we became known, even in the institute, for example, the dean of the institute, they knew us that because we didn't want to do the local Arabic, the Amir basically, the Egyptian Arabic, because there's a class where you study that. And we said, look, we're not here to study that, we want to study classical Arabic. So it was a big issue with the teachers, and we had a bit of discussion and with the dean and all this kind of stuff, and in the end they didn't allow it. So we just didn't go to them particular classes.
They didn't allow you not learning the Egyptian Arabic?
Yeah, we said we don't want to learn it, but they said you have to attend. We said can you accommodate us to do another module that is related to Fusha Arabic, classical Arabic. And they weren't willing to do that, so we just didn't go to those classes. So we became known as not only the guys who always want to speak in Arabic, but also the guys who only want to learn the
Shakespearean Arabic.
Yeah, the Shakespearean Arabic. Yeah.
So did that actually help you by the end of your 6 months? Did you find the difference between you and the students that didn't come into the contract? Did you find that that helped you? Yeah,
it did help big time, because I'll give you an example. Obviously, most times when you speak, for example, if you think about any one of us, yeah, when you speak in English, there's only actually X amount of words you use. You only use a small amount of words every day. All right, see you later. You know, these kind of simple, so how are you? You know, we use the same words over and over again. And in normal conversation, these are the words mainly we would use. So what happened, we got used to, you know, speaking to where you're going, what time you're going, when you know, the basic, small basic things that help. So instead of you having to think about it, how am I going to say it? It almost becomes automatic. Like, and that's obviously the important transition. When you're learning a language, when you stop thinking about what you're going to say and actually start saying it, that means you've moved on to a new stage, basically, or you're very comfortable with the language. So it helped a lot. It helped big time that we used to always speak to each other in Arabic all the time. Obviously, there were slip-ups like the money can testify, yeah? But primarily, or most of the time, we were speaking in Arabic, and it did help. It was very, very beneficial.
So tell us a bit now about Egyptian society now. When you first went, coming from London, coming from the West, coming to Alexandria, which is an ancient city, coming to Egypt, which is the heart of the Arabic world. What were your first thoughts of this society?
My first thoughts were, I remember me and the brother Ghulam, we just put our bags down, and then we thought, it was quite late. We got to the airport about 1 o'clock in the night. But basically the city doesn't, it was during Ramadan as well, so you can imagine Ramadan, everyone's awake during the night until Fajr. So we're walking to get some food, we're starving, we don't know where we're going. And we walk, and the city, basically just give you the setting, you saw not the first beach, the second beach, there's a road, the whole city, sorry, is along the coast. Yeah, so from everywhere in the city you can see the coast, yeah? So this is the whole city, so we're thinking this is quite easy to find, it's quite easy to locate things. So we start walking, and it was in the night, and the first feeling I got was like, wow, this place is just massive, and it just looks, it's like completely different to anything I've seen before. Because you're right, it's quite ancient. Like if you look at the buildings, they're very old-fashioned buildings, but at the same time, it's like beautiful in the sense that you have the sea over there, and it's very bright, and there's loads of people, and like it's nothing, because obviously I've been abroad in different countries, but I've never seen anything like this. It was almost like a mix between ancient and some modern at the same time. So it was like, it was strange, it was like, I was like kind of taken aback, like didn't know what to expect. Obviously as some days went by, I got to know the city more. One thing I realized that it is really, really hot. Yeah, really, really, really hot. We were there basically in September, in Ramadan, and it was just absolutely baking hot, baking hot. I mean, it's so hot people would go to the beach, yeah, and swim during Ramadan hours, yeah, because that's the only way they can cool down. Yeah, and Alexandria is actually quite nice compared to Cairo, so you can imagine what Cairo's like, yeah. But my initial impressions, that I really loved it. The only thing, obviously, was quite agitating was the fact that I didn't know how much things cost. So I just felt like everyone was conning me, because obviously I'm clearly a foreigner, yeah.
Egyptians are famous for that as well.
Yeah, and you get to take, every time you go into a taxi, you get taken for a ride, literally, yeah. For example, we'd go into a taxi, and the normal thing is you ask the taxi man, how much does this ride cost? And he'll say, how much do you want to pay? And you're like, I don't know, I'm asking you, how much does the taxi ride cost? He goes, just give me whatever. And now, obviously, you haven't got the foggiest, you haven't got a clue, I don't know how much this currency is even worth, yeah? So you give him this, and he'll say, no, you give more. So he said, then why are you asking me? Then he goes, give whatever you want. So I felt we got taken for a ride a few times until we figured out the prices. Yeah, once we figured out the prices, then that's it. You can't take us for a ride no more, yeah? Just take us for a ride to where we want to go, and that's it, yeah? So these were my initial experiences.
So Egyptian society, from when you read the papers and you hear the thinkers, they say Egyptian society has changed a lot over the last 20 years. It's become much more Islamic, much more religious, and the people have left a lot of the Western modern lifestyles, like the belly dancing and all this sort of stuff. Girls are wearing hijab and all this sort of stuff. Tell us about your experiences of Egyptian society as a Muslim society.
The people, I would say, are, of the different countries I've been to, not that many countries, but they are absolutely amazing. I really, really, really love the Egyptian people, because firstly they are very, for example, you can see many Islamic traits in them that have remained maybe for hundreds of years. Like, for example, generosity and kindness. I'm talking about your average people, kindness, generosity. There was a picture of a guy, I don't know if you saw it, was a guy, one with bushy hair. Basically, we met him during Ramadan. He lived in our building. This guy, the day we moved in, came and knocked on our door, and he goes, you're coming to my house for iftar. And obviously I'm just come to Egypt, I'm very wary of everyone, yeah? To be honest with you, and I'm like, oh man. So I'm like, okay, we'll come inshallah. And I'm really, really wary of the guy. This guy fed us for every single day of Ramadan. Every single day. We were there, we got there on was it the 3rd or the 6th of September. And Ramadan still had another, 2 weeks to go or something. Every single day he'd give us iftar, and he'd give us food so that we can eat in the night as well. Yeah, we didn't spend our own money for 2 weeks, yeah. He would feed us every single day, yeah. And this is like what the people are like there. Very friendly, very helpful. The people, for example, like you mentioned, mashallah, there is a strong Islamic feeling amongst the people. Like you'd see, like the majority of women, for instance, as an absolute minimum, they'd be wearing a hijab. Specifically in Alexandria, and even in Cairo, to be honest, but specifically in Alexandria, most women will be wearing hijab. And you've got to bear in mind, there's a Christian population there. Some people say there's about 10-12% people in Egypt are Christians. But nonetheless, the majority of people there will be wearing a hijab. So there are Islamic values. The mosques, for example, on my one road, we had our mosque, Abu Bakr Siddiq, and then we had the mosque behind us, Ar-Rahman Masjid, and then we had another mosque to our right. Basically, just in this small area, a very, very small area, yeah, you've got 3-4 mosques, yeah, and each mosque, it's not, let's say, they're not cram-packed, but imagine you have a mosque pretty much everywhere, and each mosque there's a regular amount of people, a solid amount of people coming to pray every jama'ah, yeah, in all these different mosques. Obviously, Salat Jum'ah is a lot more packed, yeah, because everything stops at Salat Jum'ah, everyone goes to pray. So there is a strong, Islamic feeling. I find that one thing I really liked is when you see an argument that takes place between people, I'll give you one example. There was an argument taking place, and they're really, really angry with each other and what have you. And one of the guys was trying to calm the other guy down. So the way he calmed him down, he goes, Salli ala nabi. He goes, send salutations upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah. Now when someone says that to you, you got to do it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah. And then you kind of feel a bit stupid to carry on arguing because the guys that kind of calmed you down. Yeah. Just these small little things amongst the people, and they're very nice to each other, very hospitable. I'll give you one thing that happened in Ramadan, or happened to on the odd nights, like we know, we go and pray in the masjid for tahajjud prayer, for the night prayer. And there's one famous mosque. It's called Masjid Qadi Ibrahim. And in this masjid, people come from all over Alexandria to pray. Now again, bear in mind that Alexandria is on the beach. This mosque is nowhere next to capable of basically accommodating all these people. So you had people not just praying outside the mosque, not just praying besides the mosque, yeah, not just around the mosque, people were praying on the streets, yeah, people were praying on the beach, yeah, people were praying in every single area, praying in this one. And so you've got basically massive speakers, yeah, massive speakers in every corner of the city, yeah. People praying. The Jama'ah, you've never seen such a big Jama'ah. Unless you've been to Hajj or Umrah, yeah, you've never seen such a big Jama'ah. People are absolutely